The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. We are back. The Mets in the zone. I'm Ralph Tyko with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and the show is hosted by the two Met mavens, one of whom is at a Met game. So, Marty Rose, I hope you're having fun. Robert Cole and I are here in your stead, and he's the second Met maven, or the first Met maven, depending on the week. How you doing, Robert?
Doing good, Ralph.
Okay. Get to talk to you one-on-one a little bit. Maybe we can mix in some real life, if you'd like, along the way. The Mets and baseball are the candy store of the world, and there's a lot going on, but let's see if there's a lot going on of real importance I meant to complete, and you're the voice of reason, more to the middle than I am, and maybe we could chat about that later in the show, but let's start. Beautiful. Let's start with the Amazons. They're, 3.5 games up, and to my knowledge, they've had 18 players on the DL, 7 of whom are extended. I mean, Syndergaard, those guys. Is this not the most amazing season since 1969?
Oh, yeah, and it's not just, all the injuries they've had, but they are now approaching 60 different players on the roster.
We spoke earlier in the podcast season, we spoke about their depth, and that was just words at the time. We knew they had done a bunch to solidify the bench, but what we didn't know is that they would be faced with an absolute catastrophic injury. You expect a normal amount of injuries, but this has been an absolute crazy season, and it makes it very difficult to listen to or watch their games. Do you have trouble with that? We both have other teams that we're interested in as secondary teams, yours being the Rays, mine being the Giants, the Yankees. Do you feel that it's almost a chore sometimes to tune into them?
No, not really. I many times I have 2 games on at the same time. I'll have the Rays on the TV and I'm watching the Mets on the computer. But I stay with the Mets all the way.
Oh well, I stay with them, but it's just been difficult being a fan. That's all.
Yeah, because you, Marty, myself, and a bunch of the guys that are on the website, we've been with them since '62, and when we think that things are going good, and then all of a sudden all these injuries happen, the team's not hitting for a while, and stuff and junk like that. Yeah, it does sometimes get hard, but okay. I haven't had to throw the remote against the wall yet this year.
Well, it's still comparatively early. So get a backup is what I'm saying, just in case.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I have to have my wife call them up because they have my face on a poster on the wall. Do not give this man a new remote. So
he's only abusing it. Remote abuse, which goes with the times, I guess. Do you see them?
The other amazing thing, Ralph, about you saying all the injuries and stuff, and they've had almost 60 different players in uniform. But when you look at it, every single one of those players has contributed somewhere along the line. Helped them win a game. Even
the relief pitchers, once in a while, they'll jump up and give you good innings when you least expect it. And
right.
it's all a hodgepodge of stuff. But do you sincerely think that they can remain? I'm assuming the worst, that DeGrom won't be back until late September, mid-September maybe. And Syndergaard is not going to go for this year. And Carrasco, all these question marks. Now Guillermo gets hurt. Can they maintain their contender status, let alone first place in the East, which doesn't look to be the most potent division? Atlanta doesn't want it. Philadelphia doesn't want it. Washington is sold off. You tell me what to expect. And it's not a right or wrong. It's like you don't expect 90 games anymore, do you?
No, probably not. But you have to remember, too, starting July, and the July was not a good month, okay? But starting July, they were 2 games in front in first place. Okay, now starting August, after having a so July, they're 3.5 in front.
Howie Rose said it very best, much more articulately than I could. He said it's more a question at this point of those 2 teams, Atlanta, and they keep playing piggyback with each other, and they don't want it more than they do. And so I'm pessimistic, but that goes with my nature, not only as a Met fan, but as a human being. Not pessimistic so much, but pragmatic. I'll give myself cut myself a little slack.
But I have to hand it to 2 of our friends and 2 of the guys that are on our website. Joshua Roth and Tad Richards. Okay, those 2 guys have maintained their optimism the entire year.
Yeah.
In fact,
I appreciate that, but I'd much rather be surprised than disappointed. That's just my nature.
Well, all they really need to do right now is what they're doing. If they have a 3.5 game lead. If they can play a little bit above 500 baseball, which they did in July, okay, and until Philadelphia or Atlanta, show that they can put together a streak, the games start melting away. We went, like I said, we melted away the entire month of July, and they actually increased their lead.
Right. And they didn't have as you say, they didn't have a particularly good month in July.
No, just barely above 500. So it just shows you how Philadelphia and Atlanta are playing. And Philadelphia is changing their starting rotation on the fly. They took 2 guys out of the bullpen, the 2 best bullpen guys, and they're using him in the starting rotation now. So, I mean, they're desperate to try to find something.
Okay. Fill me in a little bit. What happens when Lindor gets back? Does Baez go to third? Does McNeil go to third or left? Or heard all kinds of opinions on that. What's yours?
Yeah. Okay. The strongest Mets team would be putting Baez at third, keeping McNeil at second, and of course Lindor going to shortstop. Now,
I absolutely agree with you, but why are they even thinking about putting McNeil in a position he's not comfortable in?
Well, I don't know if the Mets that are thinking that. There's speculation, okay, that Lindor doesn't like McNeil. Okay, they had that little, to-do
right
back towards the beginning of the season. Okay, Baez and Lindor are buddies. They played together in the international baseball thing a couple of years ago. Baez being second, Lindor shortstop. So the feeling among fans is that Lindor is trying to push out McNeil, and he wants his buddy Baez at second base with him. I have not heard any speculation or thought from the Mets in that regard. Okay, and right now you're trying to win the division and the pennant, and hopefully go to the World Series. You put your best team out there. My opinion is that if in fact they bow to the wishes of Lindor and Baez and put them together, it weakens the team. That could also hurt the culture in the clubhouse. Okay, you already have a group of guys, Alonso, McNeil, Conforto, Davis, Smith. Those guys were sort of the nucleus of the team. Lindor came in. Okay, they welcome Lindor. All right. So now if all of a sudden Lindor is dictating who plays where, that's going to cause problems.
Oh, never thought of it that way. Thank you. It doesn't please me to think of it that way, but like I say, I'd rather know. Knowledge is power. Wow, that's can be very, very touching. He has two stats that, if you combine them, it makes for a very interesting baseball season. Lindor, what is he hitting? 219?
Correct.
And his next stat is he's far and away the highest paid Met in history. Am I correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, you would think that he would, at this point, hold very little credence in the clubhouse to clubhouse flavor. In other words, he's not doing well, he's underachieving, and he wants to dictate to Rojas and management how things are going to be played. He's under contract for all these years. How many years is it?
10 years, I think.
Okay. I hope we're doing this 10 years from now. And you know what I'm saying? That's a long time.
Okay, I'm watching the Met game. I'm watching the Met game while we're talking, Ralph. And Baez just hurt himself.
Are you kidding?
Yep.
I thought.
He's running the first base.
With Guillermo getting hurt yesterday, another hamstring. What's Baez's injury? Is it a freak injury, or a hamstring or oblique?
Looks like it might be a hamstring. What happened was he was trying to beat out an infield hit. The pitcher came across in front of him. He was stumbling, and it doesn't look good.
Okay. Well, that'll be 89 wins instead of 90. How about that? Okay. That's why I say from moment to moment, I try to be pragmatic and hold out hope. Hold out hope.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see when in the half inning, because he was out. We'll have to see if he winds up coming out for the next inning or not.
Hey, Mert and Barn are at the game. Mert's favorite pitcher this year, notwithstanding DeGrom, it's probably been Billy the Hill McGill. And he was not, when we came on the air, it was like 4-0. Do you have an update on that?
Yes, it's currently 4-3.
Whoa. Okay. See, that's when you least expected. They show the resilience that you want, and it's a crazy, crazy year. You know who I am particularly happy with is not only Diaz, he's been an absolute godsend, but McCann. I really like him as a catcher and a leader. Do you notice that?
Yes, and the pitching staff likes throwing to him. He calls a good game. You know, Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling the other night on the broadcast were saying that, you know, he calls not, you know, for his own self, but for the sake of the team and the pitcher. You know, some catchers will call for certain pitches that they can handle to throw a base runner out, and he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that.
That's a good observation from those two players, former players, who you can say they're as good in the booth as analysts as anyone in baseball. Not that I know everyone in baseball, but they're a great combo together.
And they're fair, you know, along with Gary Cohen. They're fair. They're not homers. You know, they root for the Mets. Yes, they'd like to see the Mets win. But when something happens, they say it, you know, and I like that.
Yeah, that exemplifies how it's that much different on the radio. On the radio, these guys, they use their airtime to describe the game. And when you're an analyst, you have plenty of you can let the game play itself and describe the game. So I would have to say, from what I hear, and I hear Howie a lot, he's fair. He that's my rap.
Yeah, well, Howie and Wayne Rendazzo, they do a good job. You know, they complement each other very well. You know, when I'm on the road, I always listen, you know, to them on the radio.
Yes. That MLB package, the radio package, is the best deal in sports history. Still $20 a year after all this time. And you get every game, home and away, Spanish or English. And you get the home team or the away team's radio. Sometimes it's interesting to hear what the away broadcasters are saying about the Mets, and that. It's a great package, is all.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay. Anything you have in mind to talk about, or can we get to what I'm really interested in is your opinion of the dichotomy of the way this country treats the police. You're a former policeman, and we have a situation where how we treat the police is being politicized, and it doesn't come out the way you think it would. You would think the Republicans would be standing up for the Capitol Police people more than they have. Have you noticed that?
Oh, absolutely. And you have to remember, okay, the right, the Republicans are trying to whitewash, okay, what happened on January 6th. Okay, they don't want it to be what it was. All right. So if they listened and, commiserated with the Capitol Police, okay, they would be buying into what actually happened. And they've been told by their leadership, no, okay, it really wasn't what it really was. And that's what they're standing by. So
now, which leadership? Is that the police union or the National Police Union? Or by leadership, do you mean the person that most policemen by nature would be Republicans as well, and they'd be Trumpites going in? Does that make sense?
Yes and no. Okay, policing today, okay, is much different. Okay, there is many liberal-leaning police officers as there are, hardcore right-leaning police officers. Okay, but some of the Washington police, were Trump supporters. Okay, however, their job was to protect everybody, and they did that. And now they're kind of being thrown to the wolves, whether they were, Trump supporters or not. Okay, they expected something different, and they're not being taken care of. They're being belittled, and that hurts. That hurts them.
Mm-hmm. Does it not hurt every police person that ever lived?
Yes, it does, Ralph. And what hurts every police officer that ever lived is the fact that the bad police, those guys that commit the crimes, get the most publicity, and that taints them. Okay. However, there's been a culture throughout history, and we both grew up in New York. Okay, and the New York City Police Department was probably the strongest. They call the blue wall of silence, where
remember Serpico, and I'm sure you do. Peter Moss's wonderful book about a hero, and if you think back, they had police corruption every 10 years. There was something going on with the New York City Police. In those years. How did you come to be a police person, a policeman?
There was just something I always wanted to do. One of the reasons we moved to Florida, was that in New York at the time, and it's no longer the case, there was an age limit, Basically, once you hit 28, 30 years old, they didn't want you anymore in New York. Down here in Florida and a lot of the southern states, age didn't matter. So, I was already, close to 40 and, was very interested in policing and wanted to do that. And so my parents moved down here to Florida, and that was an opportunity and a chance to do what I wanted to do.
Good. And you had basically good experiences with it, am I correct? You didn't
Yes.
come away embittered. You didn't come away embittered.
No, not at all. And it's different in Florida than it was in New York, and I don't know how it is in New York anymore. You have to remember the police department in New York City. Okay, there's more police officers in New York City than there are citizens in a lot of other cities. That's how vast and big New York City is, and how vast and big the police department is.
Right. Now, tell me again how things, as an optimist, how things are going to get better in just this one case, police relations, because the same people that were talking about cutting the budget for the police are the same people on the other side at this point. Do you see the absolute absurdity of it all? And is there hopelessness, or is there hope for the future?
Well, there's always hope for the future, but there's also great despair right now because, like a lot of things, it's become very political. All right. It depends where you are. Okay. Who you're talking to. Okay. And the left, okay, makes the mistake of saying, abolish the police, defund the police. Well, you don't want to defund the police. You want to rehabilitate the police. Okay. And you don't rehabilitate the police and change the culture by cutting their budgets. Okay.
No, but if you take some of that money and put them in a place, take that money, you're not cutting the police because you're reducing the police of the responsibility of dealing with some cuckoo on the street. You're putting a competent mental health person on there instead of the police, who are going to escalate the situation off, who have escalated the situation off times.
Okay, yes, but as of this moment, okay, nothing has actually been shown. Okay, you have to have a pilot program. Do it in the city. Okay, show that it works, and then it can be spread to other cities. All it is right now is talk, and it's being politicized. Okay, the left talks, you're wanting to do this, and then the right says, well, no, you can't do that. The right wants to, put guns out there. The left wants to take the guns away. There's no compromise. Okay? And there has to be compromise to get anything done. And the politicians on either side, okay, don't want to compromise because they want to keep their base, okay, activated behind them.
Yeah. Ask you one last question, Robert. I'm not a spiritual person, but are these people who are sticking up for, say, the looking into the election and still fighting the election on behalf of Trump, are they not selling their souls to someone? Is this not, at this late date, with all that's going on with the COVID and what have you, is this not absurd or what? Your opinion on that?
Okay. Well, let me put it this way, and I was talking to somebody earlier sort of like about this, okay? Until the Trump years and until the last couple of years, okay, I didn't realize how many kooks there were in this country. Okay, they pretty much stayed, hidden away. They didn't come out. They didn't come out in public. Okay, but Trump brought all these crazies out. Okay, all these people that voted for him who have these conspiracy theory beliefs and stuff like that. There's a lot of them, and I never realized there were so many of them before. Okay, and it's very, very difficult to change the minds of people who are not in reality. And that's the main problem. Okay, you also have people who they'll do anything. Yes, they'll sell their soul to get what they want at that moment. I mean, you look at the Christian right. Okay, they're supposed to be Christian. They're supposed to be religious. Devout beliefs. Okay?
Oh, the evangelists taking stuff that you wouldn't expect. It's craziness. Glad we're on the right track. We meet in the middle, as it were.
Yes, and until the country and until our politicians meet in the middle, okay, we're going to have what we have, and the people on the right now, okay, they see the 170 million or so people that voted for Trump. They want that. Okay, they want to get those votes. And if they contradict Trump and they actually speak the truth, they're going to lose those people. So they're willing to,
and they wouldn't be reelected, and they wouldn't have to run again. Isn't that better than selling their frickin' souls?
Nope. You have guys right now that they'll do anything to get elected. Okay, they're all in a dogfight now. That if Trump doesn't pick the run in 24, and I don't think he will. Okay.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully the courts will have caught up with him, or some of these commissions will find that he incited these people, and he'll get justice. What do you think the chances of him getting justice?
I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. I mean, they're going to fight it. They're going to, do this. They're going to do that. Other people are going to take the fall, like the guy, the alleged guy that, has been running the Trump organization for all these years. Okay. Right. He's now under indictment. Okay. He'll take the fall. I don't think it's going to, I don't think the shit's going to hit Trump.
Hey, that guy is our age. You don't see a millionaire our age going to jail, do you? He's got to sell out. He's got to sell out. Not sell out. He's got to talk to the feds, and he's got to indict. They've got to indict Trump. I mean, for all it's worth. You like to see justice done. I didn't become a cop, and I like to see justice done. Maybe I watch enough Law and Order and Chicago and stuff that it's rubbed off on me. I'm thinking McCoy's a pretty good guy. Look where I've come in a year. All right, Robert. Thanks for giving me a good podcast. The Mets in the zone. Ralph Tyko here. Marty Rose enjoying the game. You haven't kept up what the score is?
It was 4-3, and then we started talking about this other thing. So I'm waiting to see. Now it's in a commercial. So.
All right, we don't have to be the voice of instant news, breaking news on Comfortably Zoned. Here's some breaking news. We're both still alive. And that's a good thing. Thank you, Robert. Great show. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm Ralph Tyko, the weak link of it all. Adios.
Good night.
Good night.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.